So you've collected and analyzed your data. It's ready to go in the SPSS output, but SPSS does many things. Making things look pretty is not one of them. So now what we're going to do is move this stuff into Excel to make it look nice. So there's going to be different kinds of charts you're going to want to build. One probably is going to be the build date chart, which you can do from either the regular build date or the decade. If you do the regular build date, make sure that all of the years are in there, even the ones where nothing was built. So you know what, let's use that one as an example so you can see what the issues are. So we're just going to copy it, Command copy, and paste it into Excel. And then when you paste it into Excel, you're immediately going to tell that some dates are missing. So let's see, 54, 57, 60, 1, 2, 3. So 1963 is missing, so we're going to enter, we're going to insert a row here, 1963, and there's nothing. 64, 65, 66 is also missing. Oops. 760. All right, this is getting really tedious, so you get the idea. You're going to want to input all the ones that are missing, and then once that's done, you will have to decide whether you want to go with frequency or whether you want to go with valid percent. Again, you know what? It's probably better if you just delete this one altogether because you really shouldn't use it anyway. So delete it, and okay. And cumulative percent you can also delete. You don't want to use that one either. Okay, so but you might want to use frequency, you might want to use percent. Let's just assume for this one that you want to do the frequency. So you're just gonna put in your chart. In this case, it should be a line chart. So line chart, and there it is. That looks pretty good. It tells you exactly when the neighborhood was built. Let me just pull this down. And then you can make all sorts of changes to this chart to make it look better. So for instance, you can make this bigger so that you can actually see the numbers. That's useful. You can take out frequency here because, well, obviously it's the frequency. It goes up to 80, which is good, right, in this case. But this is a lot of dead space that you can fill in. And then other things you might want to change include the color of the chart. So to change the color, you would double click on this and you can change the color. To change the color, you go to more colors, and then by default it's going to look like this. So if you go to your RGB sliders, so not grayscale or CMYK, you really want RGB because that has the hex code. Hex codes are always better to use to figure out colors because it's a single code as opposed to 3 separate codes, so it's easier to remember. So never just eyeball a color because colors are different in different apps and on different screens. So instead you're going to use a color scheme that you should agree on as a team. So you can just Google color scheme hex code, which I've done earlier. So let's take a look at one that we like. Color palette generator. Sure, let's go to that. Hexcolor.co. Why not? So you can do random colors, gradient colors. There's all sorts of colors. It doesn't matter. We're just gonna pick whatever color right now. So this hex code is this. So you can just copy it. So you don't want to paste it and keep that color. Oops. And now the whole thing is this mauve color. It actually does not stand out very well, but let's just assume for now that this is okay. So once you feel okay about your chart, you like the way it looks, you can just save it and call this construction date. Remember that each one of your charts needs to have a caption, so you don't really need labels on the chart itself unless it's necessary. But make sure that it looks nice. Make sure that it's really as legible as possible. So try to minimize dead space, but try to make sure it's not too crowded either, right? So that it looks nice within the space, that everything is legible, that the font looks good, the colors look good, they're all consistent, etc. So one chart that you may want to do is called a paired bar chart. So let's for instance assume that you want both your historic use and current use. Let's see if we can find that. Do I have historic use and current use somewhere? Yeah. So here's the historic use. Oh, I don't have the current use. Yeah, yes I do. Here we go. So historic use is here. And current use is here. Now, again, the crosstabs are very useful to look at, to try to analyze, but you really can't put them in a report as is. A paired bar chart really works a lot better. So how do you do a paired bar chart? Well, so current use should go second, and historic use should go first. So you would go like this, copy this down here. So this would be historic use. And this one is current use. And then you would make a paired bar chart. Again, in this case, it has to be a bar chart. A line chart would not be appropriate because it's not continuous data. So there it is, your chart. So now we really want to play with the chart a little bit, make it look a little bit nicer. For one, it's very small, so very hard to read. Take out that chart title because again we're going to do that with the caption itself. Also, this doesn't need to go to 300 because nothing goes above 250, so you can change that under axis options and say I only need this to go to 250, so that there's less dead space. Close this back up again so you can see. Another thing here that's a little bit annoying is that the legend is taking up space in here when there's all this dead space in the middle of the chart, so you can just move it and put it here instead, right? And so that it's clearer. And then if you want, you can change the spacing and change the colors. So for instance, you can decide that you really want this color to be something else. You could go back online and figure out what color you want. Let's say you want this like teal, I guess, blue. And go back to the fill here. Whoop. Sorry about that. Fill. And change the color. Oh, that's the background. We definitely don't want to do that. So let's fix that here. There we go. Fill. Boom. And you can change the size, the width of the bars if you want, and fix all of that. Maybe make the font larger. Again, you can just click on that. Excel's really good at this. So text options, and let's see, you should be able to make the text larger. Vertical, horizontal. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how to fix that. But this is where Excel's really great at making things look nice. What I would recommend that you do is keep a tab for each different chart that you want, and make sure not to overwrite them, because again, you're probably going to make changes in the exact layout, the color, that kind of stuff might change later on. But you know, whether you use a bar chart or line chart, some are appropriate and some aren't. Again, line charts are good for continuous data, bar charts are good for discrete data. So this should be relatively straightforward to do. There's not a whole lot of charts, as I mentioned, that you need to make for this report. You should end up with at least 3, possibly more. But you can also narrow in on specific kinds of data, for instance, styles by decade. So then you would run the frequencies multiple times for the styles for the decades in question, and then make a paired line chart, which you can also do. Remember though that charts need to be legible. So if there's, 25 different colors or 25 different lines, that's not really all that legible. You want to make sure that people can read these as well as they can. And one thing that you can do, for instance, is highlight them. So what you can do is highlight, let's say, a single bar if you wanted to with a different color, right? So I'm just going to pick this color here just for speed. But why did this not work? Sorry about that. So you can pick, no, just the single bar. See, so now it's only picking this one bar, and now you should be able to fill it. There we go, with a single color. It should work. Did it work? It still didn't work. Dang it. I know this should work. Come on, Excel, help me out here. There we go. So now it just changed this single bar into a more red. I don't know if you can tell that or not. So it can highlight a single thing if you want it to. Anyway, Excel's fantastic at this. There's a gajillion videos online to help you figure out how to make this more effective, but make sure that you save these in Excel in different tabs at the bottom. Again, that'll make it clearer which one is which. Make sure to label them, right? So this would be use. And yeah, that's pretty much it for making charts. Make sure when you're writing your analysis that you refer to these charts and maps by name and by number so that people know how to analyze them. Okay, the next tutorial will be about maps on Photoshop. Thanks.